sex offenders, and accountability on today's Modern Day Leper with Ahmad Blakemore. Hello, how are you? And welcome back to another edition of Modern Day Leper with Ahmad Blakemore. I'd like to say hello to everyone, to all of our leper fans, of course, to our lady lepers and our entire leper nation. How's everyone been? How are you doing? Hi, and hi again. So first, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who has taken the time to donate to the ministry, whether it was $5, $10, $2, $1, and $100. And it's very special when you take the time to donate your hard-earned money to a very well-needed ministry. And we need the funds because we're doing a lot of things and we need a lot of equipment and we do a lot of moving around. And so for all of you who support the ministry and take the time to make the donations, I would like to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Today, we're talking about sex offenders and accountability. If there's one word that has been permeating this channel, it's accountability. Every video, someone talks about accountability. Whether they agree with me or not, they're talking about accountability. Whether I'm taking accountability or responsibility for what I've done 25 years ago, I should be accountable. I'm not being held accountable. So I hear this a lot. Accountability. What does it mean to be accountable? Who is owed accountability? Who is not? And who are the arbiters of this accountability that should be up front and center? This is what we're going to talk about today. Accountability. What is accountability? Accountability means you take ownership of what has happened as a result of your choices and your actions. You take ownership of what happens as a result of your choices and your actions. That is the definition of accountability. And when I'm in the process of doing these videos and holding conversations with you, when I have a difference of opinion, people say, oh, you're not taking accountability for what you've done. And I need to address this. The other part of accountability is you don't blame others or make excuses. And I don't blame others or make excuses. And the last part is you do what you can to make amends when things go wrong. And I will address all of these in this video right now. What does it mean to be accountable? Am I being accountable? Am I making excuses? Am I blaming the victim? When I say that there could have been things that could have been done beforehand that would have made things different in different situations and circumstances. Does that mean that I did not take responsibility or accountability for my actions when my crime was committed at that time? So let's talk about it. Who do I owe accountability to? Who do I owe accountability to? And how is that accountability administered? First of course, I owe person number one, the victim. How am I accountable to the victim for my actions? What have I done and how have I done things to make things right for the victim? The victim gets justice in terms of time and restitution. In terms of time and restitution. Who else am I accountable to? I'm accountable to the people of the state that I live in, where the law was broken. These people in this state are represented by the DA. The DA is an officer of the court who then takes an advocate position for the victim. So by proxy, I owe the DA as well. The DA looks at the situation from the victim's complaint to see if a crime has been committed. They will take that evidence that they have to the grand jury, and the grand jury will determine whether there is enough evidence to prosecute, to give justice to the victim, to say that there is enough of a crime, injustice to this person, that there is some accountability here. Someone should be held accountable. If the DA and the grand jury agrees, then it is bonded over to the criminal court, who is presided over by the judge. The grand jury's job is to review the evidence. The judge's job is the court's job is to determine guilt or innocence. Once guilt or innocence has been determined, it is the judge's jurisdiction to determine proper punishment. It is the judge's jurisdiction to determine proper punishment. The judge has the final word to say who is accountable, what the accountability will be. We have determined that you are guilty of a crime. And now the judge will sentence. He's the person who says, this is what the punishment will be. This is your accountability. This is your responsibility. And this is how this is to be paid. This is how this is to be handled. He is the final arbiter of accountability. So when I'm sentenced and I go to prison and I do my time, I'm doing time based on a system that is in place to advocate for the victim through the DA, through the grand jury, the criminal court system, and a judge. So when people say you're not being accountable, they're dead wrong. Because they are not the arbiters of what accountability is for my crime. The judge is. It's hard to believe that you can commit a crime do everything that the court has said that your accountability should be and your responsibility should be, and then you do that, and then people say, oh, no, you're not being accountable. You miss the whole process. How can I not have been accountable if I was sitting in a prison? If a judge sentenced me and he told me what the accountability was, not me. And so when people say you're not taking responsibility, sorry, you're about 20 years late. That happened a long time ago. Somebody who saw the entire case told me what the accountability was. An arbiter of the law. Not me. I didn't sentence myself. So regardless of how things are now, what my opinions are now, how I feel about certain situations, how I feel about sting operations, whether I agree with them or not, has nothing to do with me being accountable for a crime 20 years ago that I already paid for. That accountability is already done, regardless of what your opinion is. You can like it or you cannot like it. But the judge told me what the sentence was. He told me what my responsibility and accountability was. When I came from prison and I had 5 years probation, and they watched me like a hawk to see if I would commit another crime. But I didn't. And I paid all my money and other people's money as well to help keep them out of jail. And people say, yeah, you're not accountable. So let's talk about the last part, the making amends part, the not blaming others, the taking the responsibility and being in that cell and doing that prison time and getting there and deciding to make myself better. This is how you make amends when you do things wrong. You make yourself better. The judge did not sentence me to make myself better. I did that on my own. I read over 115 books while I was there, some of them more than once. So that I could learn, so that I could study my own mind, my own process to make myself better, so that I would not repeat my mistakes. The judge did not sentence me to that. To read spiritual books, to understand where the goodness comes from, not from the outside, but from the inside. How to raise my own consciousness from an animalistic nature to the nature of man, and then the spiritual nature, so that I could vibrate at a higher consciousness, so that love could fill me and I could stop thinking about myself and start thinking about others. The judge did not sentence me to raise my consciousness. I did that on my own. to assist my victim in life and business. The judge did not sentence me to do that. I did that on my own. This is how I made amends. When people say you're not being accountable and you're not taking accountability, nobody said when you get out, you should help this person build a business for this person and help them become profitable. Nobody told me to do that. I did that on my own to raise money for various organizations in the state where I live in, so that other people's lives could be better, so that other families could benefit. The judge did not sentence me to that. I did that on my own. This is my amends, my accountability. So when people say you're not taking accountability, you're not being responsible, they have no idea what I've done. None. But it sounds good to say in the comments, oh, you're not taking responsibility, you're not being accountable. They have no idea the extra over and above stuff that I've done. The state prison and jail ministry that I have been part of even before I came out of prison. All of the courses that I took before I came out of prison. All the ministry classes I took before I came out of prison. Added to the 115 books that I read multiple times to make myself better. None of that is taken into consideration when people say you're not being accountable. Modern Day Leper, this channel, and I've helped people on both sides of this issue through this channel. I have talked to people who have offended as well as victims who have been offended. And I have been helpful to both sides. I have listened to both sides. When victims are pouring their heart out in pain and hurt, feeling violated. Crying with them, understanding them, loving them, knowing what they're going through. When people who have committed crimes, I speak to them and they're afraid and they want information and guidance and love and prayer, and I cry with them. And those who are being treated unfairly, I reach out to them as well. Modern Day Leper is not just a YouTube channel. It is a full nonprofit organization, a 501c3 LLC. All donations to this channel, to this ministry, are tax deductible. This is the work I've done. So when people tell me about accountability, try using that word on yourself. Because accountability is not a word you talk to other people about. It's a word you talk to yourself about. You can't talk to me about accountability because you don't know what I've done. You only know what you have done or haven't done. And when people talk about accountability, they always talk to other people telling them how they should be accountable. No, talk to yourself and tell yourself how you should be accountable. Because you can't know another person's story. You don't know what other people have been through. You don't know what I've done after prison. You only know what the internet says. And according to the judge who sentenced me, I have taken accountability. I have gone over and above. And how do I know? Because he told me personally. I was at his house. I cut his grass. I'll tell you guys about that. Going to the home of my sentencing judge. I was invited. He was very intrigued. He wanted to talk about modern day Leper. He wanted to know how it was going, what it was about. And he said, "You're a very fascinating young man." That is accountability from the man who sentenced me. And that makes me feel amazing. My name is Ahmad Blakemore. I am the modern day leper, taking full accountability and responsibility. And I will see you on the next one. Have a great one. Bye-bye.